Welcome to the Nexus Summit, a think tank media experience. This is where the hospitality industry comes together across students, educators, employers, and global leaders to connect, learn, and lead. From keynote speakers and expert panels to student competitions, certifications, and live conversations, the summit showcases the ideas, people, and opportunities shaping what's next. Take your front row seat to the future of hospitality and discover where you belong in it, starting now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Benoit, lead instructor of Learn Tourism, and I'm really delighted to talk about a topic I believe is valuable to everyone working in hospitality, travel, and tourism: emotional intelligence. Whether you're working the front desk, managing a team, serving guests, planning events, studying hospitality, or leading an organization, you already know this truth: hospitality is emotional work. You're not just managing tasks and systems, you're managing people, expectations, stress, moments of joy, frustration, and change. And the skill that sits underneath all that, whether we name it or not, is emotional intelligence, or EI. Today, we're going to talk about what emotional intelligence really is, why it matters so deeply to hospitality, how you can actually cultivate it in your own life and at work, and how it helps you navigate constant change with more confidence, clarity, and care. This isn't about being perfect. It's about becoming aware and intentional. So, what is emotional intelligence? Let's start with a shared definition. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions while also recognizing, understanding, and responding effectively to the emotions of others. This includes emotional awareness, emotional regulation, empathy, communication, and relationship management. Here's what emotional intelligence is not. It's not being calm all the time, being agreeable, being happy or positive, ignoring your feelings, or having thick skin. Emotional intelligence doesn't remove feelings from the workplace. It helps you work with them productively. And in hospitality, emotions are always present, whether we acknowledge them or not. So, how do we quantify emotional intelligence or know whether or not we're increasing it? That's where emotional intelligence, or EI, leads us to emotional quotient, or EQ. You'll often hear these terms used interchangeably, but they're not exactly the same thing. Emotional intelligence is the skill set. It's your ability to recognize emotions and understand them and respond thoughtfully. Emotional quotient is the measurement of how effectively you apply those skills. Think about it this way. IQ measures cognitive intelligence, how you reason, how you process information, and how you solve problems. EQ measures emotional intelligence, how you handle stress, how you respond under pressure, how you navigate conflict, how you communicate with others, and how you regulate your emotions in real-world situations. Just like IQ, EQ can be assessed through different processes, quizzes, and formulas. And just like any skill, EQ can be developed over time. In hospitality, this distinction really matters. You don't necessarily need a high IQ to create an unforgettable great guest experience, but you do need emotional intelligence or a strong EQ to communicate well, lead others, adapt to change, and work effectively as a part of your team. So, why does emotional intelligence matter so much in hospitality? Because every hospitality experience that conjures real feelings is more memorable. Guests may forget their room number, what time breakfast started, which staff member helped them, but they don't forget how they were treated, how a problem was handled, or whether they feel seen and respected or dismissed and ignored. Neuroscience proves that emotions facilitate decision making and strengthen what we remember. Our emotional centers of our brain play a major role in what we remember and how deeply those memories are encoded in our brain. That means positive and negative experiences make customers and guests take action. Inspiring feelings makes us and our services more memorable and shareable. Authentic emotional connection is the pathway to exceptional customer service and visitor experiences. An emotionally aware team has more power to increase new and repeat business. Your emotional intelligence is not separate from the guest experience. It's the very foundation of that experience. How we feel as hospitality, tourism, and travel professionals has a clear and direct impact on the experiences of our guests, visitors, and customers. If we aren't aware of our emotions and properly managing them, we won't be able to see and manage the feelings of the people we engage with and serve throughout the day. Keep in mind, our emotional state changes throughout the week or even in one day, and it's impacted by the people, places, and experiences that we're coming into contact with. When you don't pay attention to your emotional state and how it's being affected, you can accidentally project onto others and misread where they're coming from. This can create defensiveness, argumentation, and stress, especially when you're going through something hard in your personal or work life. If you'd like to go deeper into developing self-awareness and working with difficult emotions, I highly recommend the book Daniel Goleman co-wrote with the Dalai Lama called Destructive Emotions: How We Can Overcome Them. It explores how we can understand and work through negative feelings rather than suppressing or avoiding them. It's a powerful resource for anyone interested in personal growth and increasing their EQ. So let's talk about what this looks like in action, in real life. Imagine a guest who planned their entire trip around a specific activity, a tour, or an attraction, and when they arrive, it's unavailable due to weather, maintenance, or capacity. Logically, you may know that this situation is out of your control, but emotionally, that guest may feel disappointed, frustrated, or even embarrassed if they think they're letting down their family or friends. Emotional intelligence helps you recognize that the problem isn't really just the activity. It's the emotional loss and unexpected stress of plans not being able to happen. Responding with empathy, acknowledging their disappointment, and offering alternatives goes much further than simply stating policy or saying, I'm not to blame for the issue. Another example would be, imagine a guest is celebrating a birthday or anniversary, and there's a mistake with their food order. From a systems perspective, the solution might be simple, and it may be considered not that big of a deal. But from an emotional perspective, for the customer, the moment feels ruined. Emotional intelligence helps you slow down, acknowledge the importance of the occasion, and respond in a way that honors the emotional weight of that experience for the guest, not just the transaction. When handled by listening with empathy, you can often help the guest get back to what matters most and still make their experience special. Another final example that many of you may have experienced is noise complaints. So let's say a guest calls because the room next door is loud and disruptive. They may already be tired, overstimulated, or just stressed from their travel. If your response feels dismissive or rushed, their frustration is going to escalate. Emotional intelligence helps you listen fully, validate their experience, and then communicate next steps in a way that helps them feel supported and like you really care about their comfort. So, here's some basics about emotional intelligence and how we can think about this in a clear, structured way. Researcher Daniel Goleman breaks emotional intelligence into 4 core areas: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. These show up constantly in hospitality environments. Self-awareness helps you recognize when you're overwhelmed, exhausted, irritated, or emotionally flooded. Self-management helps you regulate your responses so stress doesn't spill onto guests and coworkers. Social awareness helps you read a room, notice unspoken needs, and adjust your approach. Relationship management helps teams communicate, collaborate, and lead, especially under pressure. These aren't personality traits, they're skills, and skills can be learned. Self awareness is really the foundation of EI. It's the ability to pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Why might I be feeling this way? And how could this influence how I'm speaking or acting in the moment? One helpful concept here is emotional granularity, the ability to name your feelings accurately. Instead of saying, I'm stressed, you might realize you're overwhelmed, frustrated, anxious, disappointed, or overstimulated. The more precisely we name feelings, the more effectively we can regulate them. In hospitality, when emotions go unnamed, they tend to leak through tone, body language, impatience, or reactivity. Awareness gives us a choice in how we express our feelings. If you naturally struggle to speak about your feelings or express your emotions, and you want to dig deeper into emotional granularity, I highly recommend Brene Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart, which is also available as a show originally streaming on HBO Max. The show Atlas of the Heart focuses on naming emotions accurately and fully understanding emotional experiences, which directly expands both your emotional granularity and promotes emotional intelligence development. Using the episodes of the TV show, you can engage your team in a variety of discussions. This will help staff better communicate how they feel and will help them get better at reading guests and asking questions to uncover the best way to serve them and turn around any not so great experiences. Another valuable benefit of increasing emotional intelligence is getting better at navigating change. Hospitality is built on constant change, staffing fluctuations, seasonal demand, evolving guest expectations, new systems and technologies, and unexpected challenges. Change triggers emotion before logic. That's just part of being human. Emotionally intelligent people don't eliminate reactions. They learn how to pause, process, and respond intentionally. Listening is one of the most powerful EI skills you can practice. Not listening to respond, but listening to understand. Healthy communication happens when you listen first, avoid immediate reaction, be curious and ask questions, and consider perspectives different from your own. Listening allows you to observe both your emotions and the emotions of others, which is essential during times of change. So, how can you put emotional intelligence into practice at work starting today? I want to share 5 practical approaches you can use immediately in any hospitality or tourism environment. The first is the weather check in. At the beginning of a meeting or a shift, invite people to describe their emotional state using a simple weather metaphor like sunny with a few clouds, cloudy with a storm coming, stormy and intense, or clearing up after the rain. No explanations after that are really required. This builds emotional awareness and normalizes the idea that people show up differently each day without forcing oversharing. The second practice is the pause before response. After a guest or coworker finishes speaking, intentionally wait 2 or 3 seconds before replying. This short pause gives your nervous system time to regulate and helps prevent reactive responses. It's especially helpful during conflict or high stress interactions. The third practice is the assumption check. When conflict arises, ask yourself what assumption you might be making about the other person's intentions. Most conflict escalates because we assume negative intent on behalf of the other person, when what is actually happening isn't bad intentions, but maybe stress or confusion or just unanswered questions or unmet needs. The fourth practice is strengths and growth conversations. In our workplaces, we must normalize the idea that strengths and struggles are connected and make us who we are as individuals. The qualities that make someone excellent at their job may be the same qualities where they need support and improvement. Sharing that our strengths and weaknesses are related and exploring both help us become the best version of ourselves. And this is key to helping us become a stronger team member and to help us grow as a leader. This helps also to reduce shame and resistance and builds trust between people. The fifth practice is intentional listening during guest recovery moments. When a guest is upset, focus first on understanding how they feel before jumping to the solutions or the answers. Use phrases that acknowledge emotion, not just process. You can use a simple formula like acknowledge emotion, validate experience, then explain next steps. For example, when something has gone wrong for a guest, you could say something like, I understand how frustrating this is. Thank you for telling me. Here's what I can do right now. Or you could say, I can hear how disappointing this is, especially since this was something you were really looking forward to. Let's talk about what we can do to make the rest of your visit awesome for everyone. Or you could say, I'm really sorry this happened, especially on such an important day or celebration. I understand why this feels frustrating and I want to make it right for you. Finally, you could also say, that sounds incredibly frustrating and upsetting, especially when you're trying to relax and rest on your vacation. Thank you for letting us know. Let me take care of this for you. All of these approaches work because they acknowledge the emotional weight of the moment before addressing the fix. They validate the guest experience and express ownership of the issue without becoming defensive. They name the feelings in the moment, validate the expectations the person had, and then move into the solution without dismissing the weight of the emotions. This helps guests feel heard and often de-escalates situations more effectively than policy explanations or avoiding responsibility. Emotional intelligence is not something that you have or don't have. It's a practice. Every pause, every moment of curiosity, every intentional response, that's how hospitality professionals become better communicators, stronger leaders, and more resilient people. You do meaningful work, and emotional intelligence helps make that work more sustainable, more effective, and more powerful overall. I hope these ideas have given you some tangible ways to apply EI in your daily work and team dynamics. Thanks so much for your attention and joining me today.
Thanks for spending time with us at the Nexus Summit. This experience is part of Think Tank Media and Hospitality Nexus, a global, human-first platform bringing the hospitality ecosystem together in one place. Inside the Nexus, it's a career fair that never closes, connecting industry leaders, educators, students, employers, and partners through real presence. To keep the conversation going, create your free profile and connect directly with summit participants from around the world at hospitalitynexus.org. Stay connected, keep learning, and take your place in what's next.